Good morning. I'm Stephanie Ramirez. It is 4 o'clock this Monday, June 22nd.
And I'm Julie Donaldson. Thank you so much for starting your morning with us right here on Fox 5 and streaming on Fox Local. Here is what is happening today.
The summer weather is here, and it's kicking off with temperatures reaching the 90s, but the extreme heat isn't the only threat facing our region. Details on the potential severe storms headed our way, including the chance for flash flooding. We're tracking what you need to know before heading out the door this morning.
A training flight ends in tragedy over the weekend. What we're learning from federal investigators as they comb through the debris of a small plane crash that narrowly missed a Maryland neighborhood and killed 3.
And has progress been made on a peace deal between Iran and the United States? We're breaking down the latest in the peace negotiations in Switzerland as recent strikes from Israel and Lebanon threaten the already shaky ceasefire. Your news starts right now. And happy belated Father's Day to all the dads who got to enjoy a beautiful weekend.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the weather was absolutely gorgeous. There were so many activities going on this weekend as well. But I know dads had a wonderful treat if they wanted to get outside, they wanted to do some barbecuing, or just really, be with their families.
Yeah, no, it definitely was a great one out there. We couldn't have asked for any better of conditions. It's mid-June. You have very little humidity, nice temperatures, right? It was so nice out there. Unfortunately, things do start to change for today. Yeah, we get back into the 90s, and unfortunately, we start to get a little humid as well. So it's certainly going to be a bit more on the more summer-like as to what we're used to, right? So going to see some of that heat, that humidity, and then some afternoon storms. We're going to go ahead and talk about those here in just a couple of minutes, but I'll send it back to you for now.
All right. Thank you, Caesar. We're checking our top stories this morning. We now know the name of a man who was riding a moped and was killed during riding that moped in a high-speed park police chase in Northwest D.C. The man is identified as 46-year-old Norberto Mesa of Hyattsville. Mesa was struck Saturday night when a stolen car, speeding away from police, crossed onto oncoming lanes on the Connecticut Avenue Bridge. The driver, 24-year-old Tomas Anderson, also struck a diplomat's vehicle. 2 passengers in that vehicle are said to be okay. Anderson is now facing a second-degree murder charge. His passengers, 19-year-old Donnie Palacios and a 16-year-old, they are also facing charges.
The bus driver accused of a deadly crash last month on I-95 in Stafford County will be arraigned today. Investigators say that 48-year-old Jing Dong hit 10 vehicles, killing 5 people and injuring more than 40. He faces 5 counts of involuntary manslaughter and 1 count of reckless driving.
Now to the latest on the weekend's plane crash investigation in Prince George's County. Investigators still have not revealed the identities of the 3 victims. We know the pilot and 2 passengers all died in this crash. Authorities believe the plane belonged to a flight school in Montgomery County that was participating in a training flight when it went down. Fox 5's Maureen Ume will have a live report in just a half an hour.
Virginia lawmakers are expected to vote on the state budget today. It comes less than 2 weeks from the June 30th deadline to approve and get the 2-year budget to Governor Abigail Spanberger's desk. The budget deal has been delayed over disagreements on tax breaks for data centers. Now, another key topic, the sale of recreational marijuana.
Also happening today, the Loudoun County Public School District will pick a name for the new $202 million school under construction outside of Brambleton. The top name recommended by a 29-person naming committee is Beacon Heights High School. Summit and Thornton are also in the running. The Thornton family making local headlines for trying to honor past generations, including fighting segregation. The high school is scheduled to open in August of 2028.
Maryland's primary election day just 1 day away now. Early voting wrapped up last week with light turnout at the polls.
And on the first 7 days, more than 138,000 people did cast their ballots. However, that's just nearly 3.8% of the eligible primary voters in the state. The early in-person votes are an addition to almost 165,000 mail-in ballots received by the Maryland State Board of Elections as of 6 p.m. Wednesday. Voting centers open at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Also, just a reminder that early voting is underway in Virginia. It runs through August 1st. This comes after a push from Virginia Democrats to redraw the Commonwealth's congressional maps. That was rejected by the state Supreme Court. Primary election day is August 4th.
Several arrests that were made over the weekend involving people accused of removing material from the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. Now, no names or the exact numbers of arrests have been released at this time. Federal officials, they warn visitors that taking paint chips, debris, or other materials from the reflecting pool well could lead to felony charges. This comes as crews continue cleaning up a major algae bloom there.
All right, 4:05 right now. That means it's time to get a look outside. There is our cam at the National Harbor, and Caesar is warning we could see some potential weather today, Caesar.
Yeah. So
how bad is it going to be?
So that's the one thing, right, that we have to keep in mind here. So we are going to see the excess heat and humidity coming in. That's going to be storm fuel, of course, but it really has to line up with some of that peak heating. So that's really going to be the main question. Unfortunately, right now, most models are not liking us to have as much of that energy for these storms. But again, things can change dramatically as we go throughout the day. For the most part, though, right now, we continue to see that we do have most temperatures still hanging well in towards those 70s this morning. Dew points slowly getting back into the 60s. Again, we'll continue to see an increase of what we can expect out of these storms, humidity-wise, as we continue throughout the day. Southeasterly flow continues to drag in that warmth and, of course, a lot more of that water vapor into our area. And that, again, will be the fuel for a lot of these showers that we're already seeing popping up on parts of radar here. You could see that the main parent system still over top of areas in Illinois, closer towards Indiana. But as that continues to move its way over this to the east, that is going to draw in warmer air as well. And that'll then start to allow these storms to fully start to develop into the afternoon hours. So again, planning for today, you'll see that cloud cover is going to be quite thick out there. And by the time we get towards the afternoon hours, that's where we could see the potential for some of those rain showers making their way into our area before we really start to see things popping up. But you know what? I'm going to have all that timing here coming up in my full forecast in just a couple of minutes. But until then, we'll jump over to traffic. So at the moment, we're going to see that 270 southbound is pretty clear right now. We'll have most of 270 here looking good, right? 28 minutes between 70 and the Beltway. Then as we jump over to the outer loop, you'll have drive times between 95 and 270 at around 8 minutes. Not too bad out there. And the BW Parkway, same deal. You can see in both directions, not bad at all for us at this time of morning. Over to you.
Thank you, Caesar. Now to a Fox 5 News alert. The U.S. military continues striking alleged drug smuggling boats. U.S. Southern Command saying it made a lethal strike yesterday on a boat allegedly operated by a designated terrorist organization. 2 died in the strike while 6 others survived. Southern Command saying intelligence confirmed that the vessel was traveling in known narco-trafficking routes in the Caribbean. And also turning now to the latest in the peace talks between Iran and the United States. Vice President J.D. Vance wrapping up high-level negotiations in Switzerland. He establishing there a 60-day framework to permanently end the war in Iran.
Lower-level talks, they will continue for the rest of the week as both sides agree to what is being called a deconfliction cell to address the fighting in Lebanon. Mediators from Pakistan and Qatar say that the cell, it would include the Lebanese government and that it would ensure the end of military operations in Beirut. Now it comes off the heels of a tense weekend with negotiations in Switzerland getting off to a rocky start. Iran claiming that it closed the Strait of Hormuz amid threats by President Trump that more attacks were imminent if Iran did not bring Hezbollah under control.
Instability over the Strait of Hormuz is furthering uncertainty for prices at the pump. While oil prices have fallen in recent days, ongoing peace negotiations in Switzerland are creating a market volatility. But a former U.S. intelligence official weighed in on Fox 5's On the Hill. He says Iran's ability to maintain the blockade at the strait is diminishing, and that means hope for those back here at home.
When we talk about the Strait of Hormuz and opening and closing and this kind of verbal tit for tat about the strait. I think as an assessment, it's difficult to see how Iran alone, without naval forces, other than kind of its mosquito fleet, its drone attacks, its missile attacks.
Meantime, in the Russia-occupied Crimea, officials are suspending gasoline sales to the public following Ukraine's attack on its fuel supply. Russian officials say that a massive Ukrainian drone struck at an oil depot over the weekend, killing 4 people and injuring 28 others. Crimean authorities say that fuel is only being sold to government agencies, while residents say that they have to drive to the mainland to buy gasoline. Meanwhile, protests igniting outside the World Cup Stadium in Los Angeles during Iran's match against Belgium. Now, some were protesting against the Iranian team, while others protested the U.S. and Israel's involvement in Iran. Meantime, Team Iran plans to lodge a complaint with FIFA over what it calls unfair travel restrictions. Iran says it is being forced to travel to matches the day before instead of 2 days before and return immediately after.
Coming up, details on the new plan being implemented by the Trump administration to stop curious tourists and passerbys down at the reflecting pool.
And why touching the peeling paint could land you behind bars. But first, Caesar.
Well, right now we continue to keep an eye here at this next storm system making its way in to just talk about the potential impacts we could see throughout this afternoon. I'll have more after the break.